how many police officers are fat? It's like 80%. Like, there's an astonishing number of police officers that are overweight. And all my friends in the tactical world, like all my friends that are SEALs and high-level military guys, they think it's disgusting when they see like overweight, like obese cops. Like, do you know how crazy that is? To be a person that might be in a situation where you have to use your body to either protect others or protect yourself. And you have slovenly eaten yourself into a water balloon of fat and cholesterol.
Come on, Joe. 80%? Really? 80%? I love you, brother. I'm a huge fan, but your numbers are way off. So I was watching some clips from the Joe Rogan Experience, and he said that 80% of all cops are fat. Now, I wasn't offended. I actually laughed at this. But 80% is a crazy and very unrealistic number. Now, if you would have said this in the 70s or the 80s, I would say that you were still off, but close. I mean, this was the era that created the whole cops and donuts connection. That said, I want to address those new cops or trainees in the academy or anyone else who's aspiring a career in law enforcement. Stay in the gym. If you're in law enforcement, you have to stay in the gym. Now, I'm not talking just to prepare for the academy. I'm talking about your entire career. Aside from the stress-relieving benefits, let me give you 2 reasons why you need to stay in the gym. Number 1, command presence. Studies show that people judge others within a tenth of a second, meaning your first impressions are visual. They're not verbal, they're visual, and people will decide who you are within a tenth of a second. And let me tell you something, your command presence in this job is everything. When you first step out of a car, the people who called you for help, the suspects you're going to encounter, they're all going to judge you by the way you carry yourself and your appearance within a tenth of a second. They're going to look at your uniform. Is it sloppy? Is it tailored? Are your boots or shoes shined? Do you look sharp? Are you fat? Are you out of shape? Are you underweight? Do you look like you haven't stepped foot inside of a gym since middle school? If you encounter a suspect who's considering fighting you or running, they'll quickly judge your command presence and they will make a decision whether to comply or flee based on how you look and how you carry yourself. And sometimes it's a great way to stay out of a physical confrontation. When you get your command presence, including your fitness right, and you have good verbal judo skills, I really believe you reduce your chances of getting into a physical confrontation altogether. Now, this isn't the case with everyone you're going to meet. Some bad guys are always up to the challenge of ripping your face off, which brings me to my next point. Not everyone cares how sharp you look in uniform. One day, this job is going to get physical. You're going to respond to a domestic, to a guy who just beat the hell out of his wife and he has no desire to go back to jail. You might run into a robbery suspect or a suspect with warrants who is extremely violent. Your verbal judo and your de-escalation skills, they're not going to work with everyone. And eventually, you're going to get into a physical confrontation.
You know damn well you ain't
got nothing.
But that's all right. Let me just pat you down, make sure you ain't got nothing. Because this is crazy, you guys. This is crazy as
saying stuff.
Relax. Let me just pat you down, make sure you just chill. Do you live here, man?
Yes.
Yes,
All
man,
my
this
stuff.
is my
Why you
chill.
trying
Put your hands behind your back. Oh my God, it's about to hurt. Stop!
So when, not if, when it happens, what have you done to prepare for this moment? I never understood someone who enters this line of work and doesn't stay in the gym. I'm not talking about preparing for the academy. Again, I'm talking about your entire career. You have to stay in the gym. You don't have to be the biggest guy or the best fighter. To me, it doesn't matter what you do. Maybe you lift weights and you concentrate on strength. Maybe you do CrossFit. Maybe you box. Maybe you're a cardio freak. Maybe you just do Muay Thai or just BJJ. It doesn't matter. But you have to do something. You have to be prepared for the fight when it happens. Now, I don't want to create any disillusions. You're not going to get to the level where you can win every fight. It's impossible. You're not training for a world title. Even the greats get knocked out. But at the very least, you have to be prepared to survive and be successful until your backup arrives. You got to learn to play the game and work smart. And for the love of God, if you get transferred to detectives or a non-uniformed assignment, please don't stop training. One day, you're going back to road patrol. What then? You know, one of my craziest physical encounters was while I was a detective in a shirt and tie. So we were looking for a homicide suspect, and we ended up making contact with someone who was driving with no license, had no license plate on his vehicle, and he didn't want to identify himself. And he was strong. So my partner and I, and the driver, we all end up on the ground rolling around at some point with our shirts and ties on. My radio flew off my belt. I couldn't give an update on the radio because I'm literally trying to reach for it, but it's under a car. Some girl actually walks up to us mid-fight and asks the guy who we're wrestling, you know, the big guy, the guy who's winning, if he's okay. I don't know. Maybe ask the old guy who looks like he's having a heart attack. Maybe ask me how I'm doing. Eventually, a third unit arrived, and we were able to gain compliance. We were able to get physical control over him. The job got physical, and I truly believe it would have been much worse if I wasn't prepared. There's a cool ending to the story. I ran into this guy a few times after, and he's a really good guy who's changed his life around, and we have a pretty cool relationship. We actually talked on the phone a few weeks ago, and he's doing phenomenal, but that's a whole nother conversation. My point is, there's validity to what Joe Rogan is saying. You don't have to be the biggest, baddest man on the planet. We all know that title belongs to John Jones. But we have to keep our physical fitness in check. The inherent danger is real, and we need to stay on it. Good luck, and stay in the gym.